All right, let's get to the North game now. So, interesting result in the end, 36 points. I actually, and this is completely true, I was thinking to myself, because a lot of talk online was like, what's a pass mark for North in this game? We've just had a really great win, best win in recent memory. You go into the form team of the comp, at least from a goal scored point of view, and obviously wins. And like, what's acceptable? Because we probably knew we were going to lose, but like, yeah, what's the margin here? And I honestly had in my head, like, anything under 35, I'm like, yeah, we must have made a good account for ourselves. We lost by 36. I'm pissed.
Yeah.
How dare we?
Shocking. Oh, man.
I watched all but the last quarter. I had to go to basketball. Got the L on that one, so yeah, that wasn't fun. But
man, doubling down on the
L's. But what I saw from North Melbourne, and this is what Clarko's been saying since preseason, was we want to stay in games as long as we can. And I must credit the boys, because if this was last year, we're losing this game by as much as Bombers did, by as much as the Saints did, guaranteed, probably more.
Yeah.
What we've managed to do is now stop the goals from 6-7 in a row to 3. I think a couple of times there was 4, but quite often it was like 2 or 3. And then we're slowing the game down. We're chipping it around, making a real effort to not let that onslaught continue. So well done to the boys, and then capitalizing ourselves with quite a few goals. Like in a loss to a really good team, put up a decent score as well. So I'll get into a few more things, but that's sort of my overarching thoughts. Is we're a different team now. We're hanging in games for longer, which is what we want. But Crows are really good, man. They're a great team.
100%. Well, look, I'm looking at the scoring worm right now, and so we kept it within about 15-ish, 20-ish points until about the 3 ways through the third quarter. You know what I mean? So quite far into the game, we were in it, and then the Crows just sort of took it away. What I will say from both teams was the pressure was ridiculously high from both teams. So that's something that, positive for both teams. The conditions were weird. It was sort of a swirly wind. The skills were really poor at one stage. In the second half, I didn't even know if I wanted to watch the game anymore, to be honest with you. I was falling asleep. I'm like, what is going on here? Out on the full this and that. But look, from a North perspective, I think it's annoying that we lose, but like I think it's a solid performance. It's prior to the start of this season, if you told me 36 points against Adelaide, it would have been borderline a pass. You know what I mean? Now you would say it's about par. I would say, with the little bit of expectations that we've got, it's okay. You know what I mean? But yeah, look, the pressure was there for most of the game. I think the skills probably let us down, in the back half the most. But I think that's a credit to the way Adelaide play. They didn't let us drive the car. They didn't give us any space to progress the ball up the field. And then we ended up having to just boot it down the line. And we couldn't really play the game style that we want to.
The game was played on their terms for over 3/4 of the game. And there, like I said, there was moments where we're saying, like, hang on, let's just chip it around a bit. And to the boys' credit, again, we would never have done that last year. So the ability to recognize when to do that and do it pretty well. There's some bad kicks in there as well, but that was promising. But I've just written here, like, the Crows' spread and speed is ridiculous. And it's the confidence that the guys that are responsible for getting the ball will get it, like, makes it work. And that's why they do give up a bit of a score. They're not shutting teams out. They're happy to engage in a high transition game. But obviously Rankin's the obvious one. He's already off 15 meters, waiting to get that ball. And he just seems like he's always open on the outside. Like, why does it keep happening? I don't know why no one's on him, but he's obviously just that quick. And other players
probably reads the play well, and he's probably got confidence that Adelaide's going to win it.
Correct.
Yeah, so just runs to the attack.
You get like, obviously your Dawsons and Crouch are in there actually winning it. Saligo, I don't think he's underrated anymore. People are talking about him with more respect. Saligo.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like he's responsible for that in and under, but also his spread speed is crazy as well, and his pressure. And then obviously when they can move it so quickly, there was a few times they just got out behind, like Ethel Thorpe's text just feasting on that stuff. Obviously Fogarty. So when the game's played like that, those guys are kicking a couple each. It's just, you can't stop it.
Yeah. See, those are the parts of games where last year that would have been happening way, way, way too often. Correct. In this game, it doesn't happen as often, but you see it and it's just like, it's that numb, familiar feeling of, us getting, the counterattack just destroying us, But
when we won it out of the middle after a goal, we looked really good. For the most part. I think the center clearances we did all right. We actually won it, but the overall clearance game, it was pretty even. We slightly lost it. But
yeah, look, I feel like they had us in the contest. But the interesting thing, the start of the game, first 5 minutes, Sherry goes down. And you could see him, having holding the hamstring and seeing, what's going on. There was a bit of hamstring awareness, you could say. I wonder how much that affected our ability to win, the contest. Because I feel like he's a big part of it. It wasn't his best game in the end. It was, it was a pretty...
He was battling out there, yeah.
Excuse me. It was a bit of a subpar performance from him. So I wonder how much that sort of impacted, how much of a goal, how many goals does that swing the other way? I don't really know.
Well, to start the game, I mean, Adelaide came out hot, and when he was off, they kicked their couple goals, like
Exactly
jump
right.
out to that hot start. So,
So,
that end of the quarter, we got a bit of umpire's grace, to be honest. Kicked a few late goals.
100% we did.
I was a bit disappointed in the middle there. Like Tom Powell didn't really back up last week's performance at all.
No.
LDU was good in spurts, but we need a bit more consistency, and like the Adelaide players were way more on it the whole game.
Yeah.
There was a moment, you mentioned we were in the game till quite deep into the game. There was a moment in the third, we were down 9, and then Curtis gave away that 50-metre penalty in our forward 50. And then that's resulted in a goal because O'Sullivan turned it over. So it was a young kid, inexperienced, kicked it and gave a gift. So there was just moments there, like we're up 9. We're down 9. It could have been maybe 3 points. Could have just stayed there. And it's just gone like dumb 50 goal. Now it's 16, and then it just ballooned out again. So no, I'm no less confident in the team because of this performance, though. Put it that way.
Yeah. And you mentioned Finn O'Sullivan, man. How good is he? Regardless of that, he makes a couple mistakes here and there. Him, when he gets the ball, he's doing spins. I don't know if it's like he enjoys spinning, bro. He loves to just spin out of tackles and, just using his athleticism and using his burst, it's going to look good in, the guts eventually, because I'm assuming he'll move into the midfield at some point. It's going to be a lot of fun in there. So I'm very happy with that pick. I think despite the low numbers, like it's not super impressive numbers wise, he might be one of the best performing players from that draft, I would say. I think he's up there.
Yeah, he's a high-end talent for sure. But no, credit to the Crows. One other thing I wanted to mention about them is North seem to always be dumping the ball into a contest, and then obviously the third man up getting involved. Worrell's pretty good, and guys like that. But
Hinge was excellent as well.
Hinge was good, yeah, and that's what I mean. Like the game was played on their terms, because there was occasions where we were hitting targets on the lead or dropping into the chest, but a lot of the time we're just dumping it in. Whereas their ball movement's coming in and more likely to be a one-on-one or out behind. So clearly there was a skill gap. But the way they defend, like there's no one clear like key defender like there is for most teams, like a Waitering or whoever for other teams. It's all just like similar height guys, like low 190s, and they all just get involved. And again, it's like that positionless, like whoever's in the best position to deal with the situation just goes.
Yeah.
And they just deal with it, which is...
I like that.
It's a good team ethos, I think. It bodes well for them. But
yeah. And even with it was Murray coming out, Borlase comes in and he does his thing, you know what I mean? So they've got, shout out Borlase. But like it just shows that they've got that little bit of depth and they've got that team structure that even with a laid out, they can still, run a pretty decent defense.
Yep.
So
no, well done North, good effort. Well done Crows. Even more importantly, they're kicking goals for fun, man. Another 17. So geez.
Yeah, I mean, 135, 161, 114 in 3 games.
It's formidable.
I think any team that's kind of from 9th or 10th on the ladder all the way down to the bottom is very likely to get smashed by this team. I think they're at the stage where anyone that's just below them, they just destroy them scores. But we haven't got a chance to see the Crows perform or fight up against a proper team yet. If you think of Saints, Essendon, North, they're not exactly contenders at the moment. So it'll be interesting to see how they go up against like a really good team. But I think any other team that hasn't versed them yet, like a Carlton or a Melbourne or a Port Adelaide or any of these guys, are in big trouble when they face them.
And I think it is telling that North's given them their most difficult matchup to date in comparison to those other two. So I'll take it. But certainly hasn't rattled me and lowered my confidence in what we're doing this year. So that's a passable, despite it fell 1 point over my pass grade. I'll still give it all out.
That's it. No, I think well summarised there, mate.
North hosting the Swannies at Marvel. What are your honest thoughts on the game, having seen a few rounds of football?
They're just coming off the bye, aren't they?
Coming off the bye, that's a bit of an omen for North Island.
A couple of was it the Swans a couple of years ago where you guys had that interchange kerfuffle and you lost that?
Correct.
Do you reckon they've got good memories? They got good memories.
At our worst, we gave them a game that we should have won it anyway.
Yeah, no, I think you guys will be in it. But I don't know how the Swans play at Marvel. I feel like they're good at the MCG, but
I'm personally...
That could be one of those stages where they're not as good.
I honestly think we can get at them and win this.
I think you can, but naturally I'll tip the Swans. But yeah.
I'll be tipping North, mate. I did tip Adelaide against North, and that felt disgusting. But in this game where it's a bit more of a 50-50, where, Swans coming off the bye, they haven't necessarily been the best team at this point. We haven't really seen, that much out of them. I'm happy to go North.
I'm not, and I'll put a bit of context why I'm confident. Obviously, good vibes from last week at Marvel. I think we play Marvel better than they do. And I do have that memory of playing well against them, even at our worst. But I'm not scared of their key forwards. And this is an open challenge to Amadi and whoever else they're playing up there, McCartan these days. I'm not scared of you.
Yeah,
So
I don't think you should be.
And I think if we can stop Papley or whoever else they're going to roll there as the small. In other words, I think every team we've played so far has given me a bit more to worry about, bar Melbourne. And I think we can get at them. Personally, it's all about the guts, though, as always.
Yeah.
Win it out of the guts. I think, especially for North Melbourne, we're a chance.
Yeah.
So I'm going to tip us. I'm pretty confident, to be honest.